Round of applause for those of you that made it to the second round of the fantasy football playoffs.
That wasn't a round. That was like a death march.
All right, golf clap. Golf clap.
That's not a golf clap.
Hey, you did it. Yay.
There you go. There's a better clap
There you
for
go.
you, all right? Congratulations. Now you need a win. We're going to help you do that here on CBS Local Sports. Start and sit for Week 15. Let's begin at quarterback with the start of the week, Mr. Primetime. No, not Dion, Drew Brees.
Yeah, Drew Brees has been fantastic in the course of his career at home in primetime games, and I think that continues this week against the Lions. I think you saw what Brees has done the last two games. At home against Carolina, over 25 fantasy points. Last week on the road against Tampa Bay, where he had not played well on the road at all this season, 24 fantasy points. He'll be in that range again this week with the chance to go over 30. I think he's got top 5 potential in this matchup against Detroit.
Ryan Fitzpatrick, the bearded wonder, has been great the last couple weeks, Dave, but you're sitting him. Shame on you.
I do like him, just not as a top 10 quarterback. If you've got him and you've been riding with him, go ahead, keep it up. But I'm a little bit worried about his numbers against the Cowboys. They've been great against the pass. They've held down receivers. That's where he's made most of his numbers. It would have to take a change in how the Jets play offense, using a tight end more, for example. They haven't really done that this year. It's been all Brandon Marshall, all Eric Decker. And I think the Cowboys can kind of put a blanket on those guys. One of them might do well. Both of them, I'm not so sure. So I'd be nervous about that upside for Ryan Fitzpatrick.
A lot of injuries at the running back position, which means many of you have been hitting the waiver wire. So of the guys that have been popular pickups, who you start?
I love Denard Robinson. I think he's a top 10 running back this week going up against the Falcons defense. In their last 3 games, Atlanta's allowed 5 rushing touchdowns, 5.2 yards per carry to running backs. That's an awful lot. Robinson's going to have a ton of work for Jacksonville with TJ Yeldon on the shelf for Week 15. You can't get away from using him. If he's still out there in your league, pick him up.
Look at those pearly whites from Denard Robinson. He knows he's got a good matchup this week. Frank Gore does not. Can you trust anybody in that Colts offense, let alone Frank?
It's going to be tough for Frank Gore. You know, you've seen the Texans' run defense play much better of late. They gave up a 100-yard rushing game to LaShawn McCoy a couple weeks ago, but otherwise they've done a nice job in terms of one running back. And Gore, look, he caught a touchdown a couple weeks ago. You're counting on him to catch touchdowns. You're going to be in a lot of trouble. So you've seen his yards, his fantasy production be very minimal of late. I think his old legs are getting tired, and I just don't trust him at this point in the season.
Projection was around 8. You think that's kind of accurate for what he could be this
I'd take the under.
I would too.
Under. Wow, okay. All right, let's look at wide receivers. And if Drew Brees is going to have success, he's got to throw the football to somebody.
Yeah, I think you look at Brandon Cooks, certainly a must-start guy. You know, got a bad game last week, so it may have cost some fantasy owners. But if you advance with Cooks, you start him at home. He's always been great at home, and I think that will continue. And Sneady's got to get to 8 targets. If he gets to 8 targets, he'll have at least 9 fantasy points. I think that happens with the way Brees is playing in this matchup against Detroit.
6 targets for Brandon Cooks. That's been the magical number. Have to hope that he hits that once again. Dez Bryant, he just wants a quarterback that's efficient and can throw him the football.
That's what his fantasy owners want too, and they're not going to get that with Matt Cassel. He's been a total nightmare for him, and the targets have actually been going down for Dez. I'd be nervous about him, and look at this projection. 6 fantasy points?
Yikes.
That would actually be pretty good for him, all things considered. He's not even a number 3 receiver. I'd try and get away from him.
We talked about waiver wires for running backs. Tight end's been a popular one to hit too, and Zach Miller's somebody who people are picking up, and Jay Cutler likes to target him in the red zone.
I think this is the Bears' number 2 wide receiver by default. I think this is just where they're at. I think Cutler likes Miller, just like you said, Ryan. And against Minnesota in that banged-up defense, I could see him scoring a touchdown on top of getting 40 or 50 yards. That's phenomenal for a tight end in fantasy.
Miller over a popular pick in Travis Kelce this week?
It's not about the name you drafted, it's about the name that's going to help you win right now, and Travis Kelce's not been that guy. You can look at your waiver wire, Heath Miller, Eric Ebron, Zach Miller for sure. All these guys, Richard Rodgers, much better outlook right now. Benjamin Watson, I don't know if he's available on waivers, but if you have him on your bench, you start him over Travis Kelce. It's just not been good for Kelce right now, and the touchdowns have been escaping him, and the yards and the catches haven't matched up with what the production could be. I think the outside guys, I would even think Albert Wilson has a better opportunity than Travis Kelce right now for the Chiefs with the way that they're playing.
Denard Robinson, Albert Wilson, those are the guys we're talking about right now in Week 15 with the playoff
been that kind of year, Ryan.
Line. It certainly has. Injuries have decimated a lot of people. Travis Kelce, though, 4 total touchdowns, 2 of which came in Week 1. That's your starts and sits on CBS Local Sports. For Dave and Jamie, I'm Ryan. Good luck, guys.